It is A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Appreciate you guys making A to Z part of your everyday sports listen right here in Atlanta and beyond, as the Braves are down in Miami and get set for a 3-game series with the Marlins. Full disclosure, okay? I've already made 2 wagers on this game tonight. I've taken the Marlins plus 1.5 on the run line at even money. And Trevor Rogers, the starter for the Miami Marlins, I took his over K-prop at 5.5. I did that because the Braves strike out a ton. They have the highest K rate of any team in Major League Baseball. Now, Milwaukee's a really good team, but they struck out a ton in that 3-game series against them. So they have to figure out a way to strike out less. The 350 strikeouts that the Braves have on the year is by far the most in Major League Baseball. And this is a real problem. Forget the runners in scoring position thing. It's one of those deals where it's like there is runners in scoring position and there is making an out and not getting a hit. And then there's making a non-productive out, which is a strikeout. You get second and third and you hit a ball deep to the right side with 1 out, they let the run score and take the easy out at first base, right? Like that's always what happens. It's not a hit. It's an RBI. Your average doesn't go up runners in scoring position, but a run gets pushed across. That's a productive out. Those things matter. And the stat nerds and the sabermetric folks have ways to quantify all that it's way above my pay grade and my intelligence level. But I do know strikeouts are the worst kind of out you can make. Played baseball for a long time. So how do I still play? There's nothing. I'd rather ground out the short 15 times in a row than strike out once. I mean, like, honestly, striking out is the worst thing you can do to me. There's nothing good about striking out. You look like a complete loser. And the Braves have been complete losers in that category all year long. And it's bad. And they've got to get it fixed. And I don't necessarily know how you get it fixed unless you just stop playing guys who strike out too much. The problem is that 1 through 9 right now, it's hard to find anybody who's in that lineup who's not striking out. And I cringe at the idea of them losing 2 of 3 to the Marlins, which would put the Marlins a game and a half in front of them when it's all said and done. It's not going to be a good spot. I think everybody says wait till Memorial Day. Well, Memorial Day is kind of here. Look at the calendar real quick. Yeah, we are a week away from Monday is Memorial Day. So the panic button, and it's understandably so, the panic button is going to be hit by a lot of people. I still have June 15th as my panic button date. I'm not backing off that. Go look at their schedule. You've heard me say this before, but if you look at their schedule, they'll have a stretch against Oakland, Pittsburgh, the Nationals, really bad teams, Colorado, one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball that hopefully those bats should be able to come to life to at Coors Field. And that's where I think that they finally get over 500. But taking 2 of 3 from the Marlins and finishing 19-22, gaining a game closer to 500 than when you started is a big deal. They got 4 against the Phillies coming up as well. I mean, they've got to start to win some division games. It goes back to that whole thing about winning your division and taking care of business, as I talked about at the top of the show. In Major League Baseball, taking care of business is winning your divisional games. And the Braves have to start doing that with some sense of authority here. They have to start doing it with some semblance of regularity. And at this point, I don't care if they're ugly wins. Nobody should care because they just need to start figuring out how this is going to go and start getting better. I'm not at panic button yet, but I am warming up to the idea that it's time to really start looking at this team as maybe not what we thought it was going to be, or not as good as we thought it was going to be. And some of that is fair. Charlie Morton's on the rubber tonight. He's got an ERA just in the 5. He's got a whip of near 1.5. These are not good numbers at all. So he's got to get better. For the record, Trevor Rogers isn't all that better either, but it's almost like an auto bet right now to take an over on the Braves strikeout. Whoever's pitching against the Braves, just take the over because they strike out a ton. They strike out a ton, and I don't know what you do to get better at that. In game 2 of this series, you're going to get Kyle Wright against one of Miami's worst pitchers in Elieser Hernandez. So hopefully they can take advantage there. And then on the Sunday game, let me just pull it up here. In the final, you get Ian Anderson on the road again, where he's been really good this year against Sandy Alcantara, who has been their best pitcher by far. So this is not going to be an easy series one way or another. They got to start hitting the ball. They got to strike out less, and they got to figure out a way to start scratching out some wins that they couldn't get before. Because if they don't, once we get into June, it's going to start to look problematic. And we'll start to dissect this thing to a different degree. And, I'm curious to see what Alex Anthopoulos is really doing, how much he's really starting to evaluate where this team is, or how much more he's willing to wait before he starts picking up the phone to make moves. Right? It's not his style. Even though they just won the World Series, it's not his style to sit back and do nothing. Right? That's not who he is. It's not how he operates. So I'm definitively curious to see where his mindset is. I'd love to hear from him. He's been really quiet so far in the year. Speaking of which, by the way, this was in the news about the Braves, and it concerns Anthopoulos, at least from a GM standpoint, that Luke Jackson lost his arbitration case. He'll be paid $3.6 million instead of the $4 million he filed for. Of course, Jackson not going to pitch this season due to the Tommy John surgery he has to have, but he's $400,000 poorer than what he wanted to be when it was all said and done. And then officially, we know Tyler Matzik on the IL now a couple of days ago, so he will be shut down and then reevaluated. And the Braves have some more bullpen issues to deal with going forward. Hasn't been a fun ride. If you're looking for fun, though, with the Braves, what you can do is try to get seats in right field next week when they take on the Philadelphia Phillies at Truist Park. You're going to have Braves broadcasters Chip Carey and Jeff Francoeur in the right field stands calling the game from there instead of the TV booth behind home plate. Pretty cool. It'll be Thursday night's game against the Phillies, as I said, and it'll be the finale of their 4-game series against Bally. It'll be on Bally Sports Southeast, and a temporary broadcast space will be set up amid the seats right in front of the Chop House. So it's the third time, actually, that Carey and Francoeur have done a broadcast from the Truist Park stands. They did so twice during 2019. So obviously they didn't do it in 2020 because, well, there was nobody in the stands at 2020. And heck, they weren't even in the ballpark calling the game in 2020. Nonetheless, pretty cool, though. Braves are really good at this stuff. They're really good at attracting fans and bringing them in and making sure that they are part of the experience. Truist Park is becoming one of the nicer parks in Major League Baseball, one of the more fan-friendly parks in Major League Baseball. So it's great that they're going to the extra length here to try and make sure that the Braves and their fans, at least if they're not going to win games, are still going to enjoy them, right? All right, that'll do it for us here on this Friday. I want you guys to enjoy the heck out of your weekend. Watch some NBA basketball, watch the PGA Championship. I'm sure we'll have reactions to that coming up on Monday as well. Some more Falcons news we got to get to as we inch closer to the mandatory mini camps and OTAs and things of that nature. So still a whole lot to do. And of course, where will the Hawks be in their off season? All that you'll get right here on A to Z. Thank you so much for making A to Z your first listen every single day. Make your next listen Hitting Hard with John Chuckery, the ATL Sports Talker right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Everything you need to know about Braves, Falcons, Dogs, Hawks, it all comes to you Hitting Hard with John Chuckery every single day right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. You guys have a great weekend. Back on Monday. Don't take any crap from anybody. See you.